Hey guys, it's Mr. Browse. We're going to go over calculating simple interest, so make sure you do write the objective and essential question down in your notes. It's at the top. So simple interest is the amount of money paid or earned for the use of money. So you're going to go ahead and highlight on your notes amount of money paid or earned. To determine the simple interest, that's I. So what I want you to do is circle or highlight, if you have a highlighter, I. Use the formula I equals PRT. So I equals PRT stands for interest equals principal times rate times time. So principal is the P, and that's the amount of money deposited or invested. So rate is the R, and that's the annual interest rate expressed as a decimal. So when you're given that rate, it may say 10%, but you have to convert it to a decimal. So you do Dr. Pepper, move the decimal over 2 times, and it turns into 0.10. So it's very important that you make sure and note that it's as a decimal. Okay, and time is the amount of time the money is invested in years. So we'll look at example 1 here real quick. Determine the simple interest earned in a savings account where $136 is deposited for 2 years if the interest rate is 7.5% per year. So what I want you to do when you come across an interest question like this is I want you to label everything you possibly can. So first of all, you know it's a simple interest question because it says simple interest right here. So second of all, what I want you to do is you'll see these 3 numbers here. You'll see 136, 2 years, and 7.5%. So these are what we're trying to differentiate and try to tell what is the principal, what's the rate, and what's the time. So 136 is going to be our principal, because if we look back at principal, it says the amount of money deposited or invested. So 136 is our principal. So I'll highlight that in red actually. And our rate is 7.5% per year. So I'll highlight that in blue. And our time is 2 years. So I'll highlight that in green. So I'll zoom in a little here. So on your notes, make sure you note that that's the principal, this is the time, and the blue is the rate. So the rate, we're going to have to move the decimal over twice real quick. So if we do that, it was 7.5%, and if we move the decimal over twice, that would make it 0.075. Alright, so then let's look at what the rest of the question says. So first, your first step is you're going to write down the formula after you label each number in the question. So write the formula I equals PRT. Then you replace the P with the principal, which we talked about was 136. You'll replace the R with the rate, which was 7.5%. But remember, you have to move that decimal over twice to make it an actual decimal and not a percent. So that made it 0.075, and you'll replace the time, the T, with just the letter or the number 2, because it was 2 years. So after you multiply that, you would have got, let's see, you would have got 20.4, and so the simple interest earned is 20.4, $20.40. So on example 2, remember we're going to label everything we possibly can. So on this one, I'm not going to use special colors. I'm just going to write it in, just like if you just had a pencil and paper. So determine the simple interest for $600 invested. So that's P at 8.5%. That's our R, and our time is 6 months. So that's our t. So first step, write the formula. So I equals PRT. Substitute the numbers in, and that would give you a simple interest of $25.50. So now we'll go over to example 1 here and do that together. Determine if the simple interest earned to the nearest cent for each principal rate time. So we've got $300 at a 5% interest rate for 2 years. So we're going to first write the formula, and that would be I equals PRT. And so now we're going to substitute in the numbers. I equals 300. And remember, with our rate, we're going to move the decimal over 2 times. So that turns 5% into 0.05, because we always use a 0 as a placeholder in math. So we would multiply that by 0.05. And our time would be 2 years, so we'd multiply that by 2. So we're going to multiply 300 times 0.05, and that gives us 1,500. Remember, we have to move the decimal over 2 spots because there's 2 right here. So we'd go over 1, 2, and that gives us 15. So now we just have 15 times 2. So we know 15 times 2 equals 30, so your interest on this one is $30. Okay, so now on your other page we'll go over to example 2. And so you're going to first, remember, you have to label what everything is. So $575, 4.5%, in 4 years. So this would be principal, rate, and time. So then your next step is to convert the 4.5% to a decimal. And some of you may say it's already a decimal, but it's still a percent. If it's got the percent sign on there, it's a percent. We have to convert it to just a true decimal. So move that over to the left twice, and you have 0.045 now. Okay, so now we have 575, 4.5, we converted to 0.045, and 4 years. So now we have to write the formula down. I equals principal times rate times time. So interest equals 575 times 0.05, or 0.045, sorry, times 4. So once we multiply 575 times 0.045, we would actually get 25.875. So you have to move the decimal over 3 spots in this instance. Okay, so now that we have that, we have 25.875, and we have to multiply that by 4. So let me go ahead and do that. 25.8. Okay, so we had 5 times 4 is 20, 7 times 4 is 28, add the 2, that's 30, 8 times 4 is 32, add the 3, that's 35, 5 times 4 is 20, add the 3, that's 23, and 2 times 4 is 8, and add the 2 to that, and that's 10. So now we have 103,500, but we have 3 decimal spots right here we have to move. So let's move that 1, 2, 3, and that gives us an answer of $103.50. Alright guys, now you're going to do number 3 on your own. Bring it to class so we can see it.